So on the line right now, Christina Thompson, how are you?
Hey, how's it going?
Welcome to Waxy Brown's Flower Power Hour. I've been trying to get you on for a while. You've been busy at the Capitol. I want to tell folks.
It has been a busy 2 days.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's new legislation that's dropped at the Capitol, and the reason I wanted you on is you were actually kind of an author of part of the language within that legislation about sharing cannabis amongst each other. So take me for take me for a walk. What happened over the last 24 hours, 48 hours with that legislation, and then talk to me about that part that you were involved with, because I'm very interested in that.
Okay, so yesterday, let's back up a little bit. The day before yesterday, the bill was filed. We did not have a bill number for it, though, until yesterday. We had a huge group of people from the cannabis community show up at Jefferson City. We went door to door to each of our representatives' offices and, just explained what the Cannabis Freedom Act was, the fact that, we believe that this represents everything that people in the cannabis community want to see for an end to prohibition and marijuana legalization. So yesterday, anyone who was there at the Capitol yesterday actually got to witness the moment that this bill received its bill number and basically became official. And if this passes, I mean, man, that's a historical moment right there.
So yeah, I've talked about this bill, and we've actually given a lot of light and coverage to all of the different initiatives and all the bills, but this one in particular, we were very interested in getting into the depths of it. So we went to the Capitol, and we're going to play some of those interviews. But I agree with you that this one definitely takes things a step further than some of these other initiatives, even in this state and other states. It definitely, when we talk about expungement, like we talk about on this show, the definition of expungement seems to differ from legislation to initiative to just whoever's written it. What's your definition of expungement, Christina? What's it from a lay term? And let's not get this twisted. You're very much in my eyes, a subject matter expert here. But for my listeners out there, what does expungement feel like in your eyes?
Expungement is being returned to the place that you were at before you were wrongfully convicted of something that should not have been on your record. So that means not only does it get erased from your record, but no one is allowed to discriminate against you for having gaps in your employment, or any kind of history, where they're like, oh, where were you for 5 years? Why don't you have a work history? No one's allowed to discriminate against you for that. But it is essentially righting the wrong and putting you back to the same place that you're at, the same standing in your community that you were at before that wrongful conviction, before, the crime that you were charged with.
And that's already difficult when you're talking about coming back with a past that carries a bit of fear and stigma with it within your community. So we've really got to reach out and support those folks, because there's 40,000 Americans left behind, POWs, that are sitting in those jail cells over cannabis. So it's really good to hear that. I like the portion that you were that you're the author of, not kind of, but the authored. Can you tell me a little bit about that portion of it? Because I wasn't aware of it, which I was kind of ashamed of that. And then, and you schooled me, and man, I found out some really juicy details. Can you tell me a little more?
Yeah, so this is our legislative process at work. So whenever I found out that Representative Ron Hicks was drafting the Cannabis Freedom Act, I wanted to know what was in it, and one of the suggestions that I made was that it allows sharing. Our cannabis community, one of the fundamental parts of that is the fact that we are a community, and that means that we do want to interact with each other, and every other option so far has not allowed sharing. So I made that suggestion. I wrote a short little paragraph that I thought embodied, a good provision for sharing for anyone who's 21 years of age or older, or is a medical patient. Basically anyone who's allowed to consume cannabis legally, they can share anything that they want.
As long as there's no financial transactions or anything like that.
Yes. As long as no money is exchanged, it's basically, gifting.
So we wouldn't have.
That's.
Go ahead.
Huh?
Sorry to interrupt you.
No, that's okay. And that's pretty reasonable. I think that's a very big deal to a lot of us.
Well, yeah, if you think about it, if Tim and I and you were sitting in our house, we're going to play some billiards in the house, what can we do? Pull out a beer out of that refrigerator and I can give you one of my beers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, exactly.
So you're asking for a level playing ground. Yeah,
and this is actually very similar to the homebrew laws, because everyone can brew a certain amount of alcohol every year without any kind of special licensing or authorization, and anyone who does that can legally share alcohol with other individuals as long as they're legally allowed, of the age where they can consume alcohol. So why not do the equivalent for cannabis?
Absolutely.
And that was what I said I felt was important to us, and they ended up including it. It's almost verbatim what I wrote. That was really, really amazing to be part of.
Well, I'm very proud to have you on the show, having that you're making a difference there. And the reality there is that the entities that we're trying to just get on level playing fields with, they're already entering our space. Budweiser, Coors, Coca-Cola, all of these different entities, they're already ready to release THC infused products, this, that, and the other. So it's funny that we're in Jeff City, but they're in their boardrooms planning these items, and it's like, gosh, man, things just don't look the same on any side of this fence, right?
Yeah.
Listen,
yep,
thanks a lot for doing what you're doing for the community and the sharing thing. Actually, I really didn't think a lot about it, but I mean, we talked about it when we first started the show. How if we wanted to medicate during the show, we each had to have our own instead of sharing.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the laws are laws, but laws are meant to be expanded upon. I believe as our culture begins to show its face, and it is in so many ways, man. Everything from Snoop at the Super Bowl to the discussions of COVID and cannabinoids. Like we're out there in the forefront, but we can be out there in the forefront all we want. All we want. We can be at the Super Bowl if we want to, but unless we're doing what folks like Christina, no. But if we
$50,000 tickets,
right?
What about you?
But we have folks like Christina who are out there actually marching on the Capitol and talking to these folks. And
Buy
listen,
a lot of medicine with that.
but I'm not going to say that Snoop's never had language put into some legislation, but I just don't know that he has. And Christina, thank you so much for what you've done. What group are you with there that's making these moves and these plays out there?
Show Me Cannabis Freedom on Facebook. That is our group. We will be posting a lot of updates about the Cannabis Freedom Act, and we actually have a lot of other groups involved in this because, it's a really great piece of legislation. And what you're talking about, going out there and changing things, and going to the Capitol, writing pieces of legislation, being involved in this process, this is something everyone can do. You can walk right into your legislators' offices as long as they're there and during normal business hours, and you can tell them what's important to you. And that is one of the most important things about the Cannabis Freedom Act. If we in the community ultimately want this to happen, we have to start calling our legislators. We have to call our senators. We don't have very much time to push this through. So right now, if this is important to you, you need to send an email. If you've never sent an email in your life, now is the time to do it. So reach out to your legislators, tell them that you want the Cannabis Freedom Act. And, I fully believe that we can do this. We are a community and we have a voice, and it's time for us to be heard.
Christina J. Thompson, y'all, you heard her Capitol Report. We appreciate you calling in, and we'll catch you on another show because you got a fiery personality, and we certainly have, fiery things to talk about.
That's right.
All right, Christina, we'll catch you
so
next time.
much for having me.
You bet. You guys
All
are
right,
listening to
great.
Waxy Brown's Flower Power Hour on K-Kid.